Welcome back to the Kovacs Report comic book review show with my good friend Jimmy X. So, like I said, as you can see, Jimmy's laughing there. It's not laughing of happiness, laughing of tears. This has taken 2 hours to even get to work this week, so hopefully it will work. If the audio's out of sync, we're really sorry, but just please stick with us. So, we spoil books. So if you got them, read them before you watch us. Let us know what you think. We're going to get straight into it with Avengers 16, Blood Hunt tie-in.
Over to you, Jim. Avengers 16, published by Marvel, written by Jed MacKay, with art by Carlos Fabian Villa and cover art by Joshua Cassara. With the Avengers incapacitated at the start of the Blood Hunt event, Captain America, Steve Rogers, the legend of World War II, he took it upon himself to form a reserve team of Avengers by putting a call out to anybody available in the vicinity of New York City to fight the vampire threat. The Nazi vampire threat, as it happens, as Steve's team of Avengers finds a SHIELD helicarrier full of them. Captained by classic Avengers villain Baron Blood, a vamp who's immune to the effects of the sun and has a long history with Captain America. The reserve team consists of the Kate Bishop Hawkeye, who was introduced in Young Avengers, Wanda Maximoff's brother Pietro, Quicksilver, Avengers Academy graduate Hazmat, and the Greek god and son of Zeus, Hercules. So a really nice mixed bag of Avengers there. The final part of this 3-issue Blood Hunt tie-in sees Avengers and Steve finally taking control of the airship and piloting up through the Dark Force powered barrier into the bright sunshine above. They set the controls to autopilot, and Cap continues his fight with Brother Blood, Baron Blood. Blood, you remember the sunlight can't hurt me, right? And Cap retorts, I do. I just know that hurting you is my job. Hercules starts chucking vampires out into the sunshine with reckless abandon. Kate uses a sonic arrow to destroy blacked out portholes, killing many, many more Nazi vampires. Quicksilver and Cap use a recording device on their Avengers communicards. You know what I'm talking about.
Mm-hmm.
To trick Brother Blood into admitting that he's got no problem with abandoning his minions for the cause, and Quicksilver uses that information to get into the engine room that they've sealed. As they have no loyalty to their boss once they find out what he's really like. Quicksilver says, "I'll let you live if they open the door." When he does, he basically starts slaking them mercilessly with the super speed powers. They protest that he promised to let them live, and he answers, "You stopped living the moment you became vampires, and I'm very angry about what you did to my sister," because Wanda was captured by the Structure in the Blood Hunt main series. Meanwhile, at the end of his battle with Captain America, the Baron leaps from the helicarrier, knowing full well that he will survive. Quicksilver arrives too late to stop him, and as the issue ends, Hawkeye lines up an arrow targeting Blood with pinpoint accuracy as he plummets from the sky. They leave it ambiguous as to whether she hit him or not, but I reckon
she did. Any good?
I loved it. Big, like, Indiana Jones style action there. Great to see Steve Rogers. I haven't read a Steve Rogers book in forever.
Not missing much.
Yeah, really fun. I like the idea of putting together a Reserve Avengers thing, and I think that's something they're going to follow up. I think they've already solicited a book called Avengers Assemble that's just going to do the same.
Oh, okay. So maybe it's those guys doing whatever it is those guys do, right?
It's not Jed MacKay though. So
good. That's one book he isn't writing for Marvel this year. Cool. All right. Yeah, he's writing a lot, right? My first book was Union Jack the Ripper. Now I know I've said some very terrible things about Blood Hunt, but in my opinion, this is the only good thing in the whole of Blood Hunt. Sadly, it's the last part of a 3-issue mini, but Mr. Craven Scott and Kev Walker have done some wonders with it. It's fun. I love it. So, set in Manchester, in England, Union Jack and Mara, a police officer, and a couple of civilians. So one of them's called Helen, and she's in the back of the van, all chained up because she's like vamping out. Along with Bulldog, a sort of not a British superhero. He's also like fully vamped up, but he doesn't seem to be under the control of the Master Vampire, which is who they're off to go and kill to release all the other vampires and hopefully turn them back to humans and bring Manchester back to being Manchester, not Vamp City. So they drive along in the van, they find his lair, and we meet the big head vampire called Hunger, who looks really, really cool. Reminds me of like a Mike Mignola vampire. He's got that kind of look, and it looks straight out of the Dracula movie, you know. Really, really looks cool. Anyway, he's the head bad boy, and Jack and him start having a punch up. So Jack plunges a big broadsword through his chest, and his big long fingernail hands sort of stab into Union Jack Not looking good for Jack. But now with Bulldog closer to the master, he seems to have regained control over Bulldog, and he orders him to kill him. And he orders him to bite Jack, basically, and turn him into a vampire. Anyway, Mara, the police officer, she shoots Bulldog through the hand to try and help. And we notice that Hunger's hand flashes and he screams in pain. Hold on to that thought. So Helen, she's broken out of the van, broken out of her bonds, and she's joining the melee. And she starts attacking Mara just as we witness Union Jack fully vamp out in badass vamp mode. But, mate, he's not under control of Hunger. No, he's his own man. He's his own vamp. Anyway, so on the sidelines, Bulldog seems to have regained a little bit of his humanity, and he says to the police officer, Mara, he says, look, I know what to do. He says, this is how you hurt Hunger, by hurting me. So basically, if you hurt the sort of lower vamps, he feels the pain, and without any hesitation, she blows his head clean off from the upper jaw. You know, there's just his neck and his bottom jaw just hanging there.
Very
it looks really cool. It was, right? I thought that was a nice little touch. Anyway, that weakens Hunger enough for Jack to finish him off in style. You know, everyone is happy ever after. But listen, really good fun. It's fast paced, and the art is lovely. Like Kev Walker's art, it's just so fun. It reminds me of I don't know why it reminds me of Walking Dead, but it reminds me of like Walking Dead 2000 AD. It's really, really, really cool. I love it. Anyway, I thoroughly recommend it. You want a bit of blood and gore and light-hearted vamp slaying, and in my opinion, it is the only book in this whole Vampocalypse blood hunt debacle from Marvel.
See, I've got a theory, Angelo. Sorry, I've got a theory. I think that wasn't even meant to be a blood hunt tie. I think that was just a vampire story they pitched to Marvel, and Marvel were like, "Oh yeah, let's just tuck it into the blood hunt event." Because you could take blood hunt out of that, and it would still be an amazing story.
It would make total sense. It was so much fun. I'm sad that it's only 3 parts, and I really wish I had more. Anyway, on to your book of the week. I recommended this because I was a big fan of the original Death in the Family back in the 80s, and I wanted to get your thoughts on this one.
Yeah, I borrowed the original Death in the Family from the library when I was a kid. It was quite a reading experience, I tell you. So this is an alternate take on the resolution to this storyline, because Robin, the second Robin, Jason Todd, basically the issue before this one was murdered by the Joker. Beaten savagely with a crowbar and had a building explode on him. And they left it famously,
right?
They left it ambiguously, and with an interactive element, they decided to do a 900 number that fans could call, whether they then vote whether Robin should live or die. Now, Jason Todd wasn't as loved as Dick Grayson as Robin, so they overwhelmingly voted for Robin to die. But this flips the coin because obviously they published they had 2 stories ready to go. This is the one that was never published until now. So, written by J.M. Mathias.
This is what if Robin actually lived, hence the title Robin Lives, right?
That's right, yeah.
Yeah.
So written by J.M. Mathias. I know him from Amazing Spider-Man in the 90s, and also Rick Leonardi. I recognise his artwork from Amazing Spider-Man too. This is from 1988, following up the classic story set in Batman 238, and the Joker is dead. News reports are he died from a gunshot wound to the head, and speculation is Batman was the one that pulled the trigger. We see Jason Todd, aka the second Robin, crying on top of a building, and we flash back to see how he recovered in hospital from the brutal beating that he endured at the Joker's hands last issue. Batman catches up to the Joker, who escapes in typical 80s style on a jetpack through the window before Batman can get his hands on him, dropping into a nearby garish-looking Joker-themed boat all decked out with his face and stuff. You know what I'm talking about.
Drill.
So Batman crashes the Batplane through this boat, knocking Joker into the water and standing there watching him sink until Superman swoops down to pull him out. Superman asks Batman if he was going to let him drown, and Batman doesn't answer. So Joker is returned to be incarcerated at Arkham Asylum, while Jason is now at a hospital, and he returns to Wayne Manor with Bruce and Alfred. They're pleased to see him. Jason is moping. It's understandable after the Joker nearly beat him to death with a crowbar and murdered his mother. Jason spends time with the original Dick Grayson. As Bruce plans to send Jason away to a trauma clinic. He reacts angrily and returns to solo action as Robin, swinging into action against the Scarecrow. Jason is then exposed to fear toxins, forced to relive his recent trauma in Ethiopia at the hands of the Joker via vivid hallucinations before Batman finally arrives to rescue him, beating the Scarecrow brutally, more brutally than usual for Batman, before the GCPD intervene. Batman picks up Robin from the floor, holding him tight and promising, "I'm here, Robin. I've got you, and I promise I'm never letting you go." And the issue ends.
Nice.
And I had a really good time with this.
It's the first part, isn't it?
It's really interesting.
There's a few more parts.
Yeah, I think it's a 4-issue miniseries. Yeah. It's not something that I would have ordinarily picked up. So thanks for highlighting this.
Yeah, I thought you might like, because like this storyline's like is a massive part of Batman history, right? Everyone talks about it even now. So I thought, what, give it a go.
It's up there with the Killing Joke or the Cataclysm or
Dark Knight Returns, all that kind of stuff. Yeah, I'd say so. Yeah. So worth a read. Then I will give that a read.
Oh yeah, I'm definitely going to finish this miniseries. Yeah.
Amazing. So, oh boy. Have you read this out of interest?
I still have not read any Ultimate books apart from Ultimate Invasion and Ultimate Spider-Man, which I loved.
Right. Well, this was nothing short of trash. Dennis Camp is on writing duties here. And I feel sorry for Juan Frigeri, who's the artist, because he really did try hard to make this book work. It's awful. Unlike Mark Millar's clever exploration of America, corporate shenanigans, and its politics in the original Ultimates, right? This is just an issue-long villain's monologue explaining how America is all about greed and how good greed is. As Cap just repeats over and over again, he's going to save America. That is it. That's the whole issue. So it's interspersed. Oh God, it gets worse. It really does. It's interspersed with flashbacks of Cap back at base, watching like this holographic 3D 360 degrees video of the last 75 years of American history and a bit of world history, like all compressed into 9 minutes, right? It includes some key events in this universe's timeline that are different from the other timelines that we're used to. Also some like present day stuff and some real world history as well, like the JFK assassination, but it's all woven into this little 9 minutes. So it's giving you a base of what's going on in this world, and gives Cap an idea of what's happening in this world, because he needs to know what's going on. Inside that,
don't read it.
Honestly, don't read it. Inside all that history, it's based on little plot points which support the next 20 pages of villain's monologue, right? So the ultimate gatecrash, the White House, speaks to the president, who just happens to be Midas, right? A super rich CEO who's wearing Tony Stark's original golden suit of armor, right? So this is Cap and Iron Lad. They're in there, and the rest of the Avengers are coming as well. Sorry, Ultimates. Anyway, they bust into the Oval Office, Iron Lad and Captain America, and I think they find him there wearing this suit of armor. Monologue. They blow a hole in the basement, and they all fall down into the space and find this other superhero, all shadow, so you don't know who they are. Is like, in X style, plugged into a machine, and they're draining the power out of her, right? They're draining out the power of her. He explains that this system, you can't shut it down, you can't destroy it, because not only does it power my armor, it powers loads of America, like hospitals. You'll be killing thousands of people if you shut it down. Ha 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 ha. Anyway, punch up, more monologue, more "I'm here to save America" from Captain America. Captain America breaks his neck. The other Avengers, Ultimates, they fly in, and the machine gets damaged, and the hero is released from this imprisonment. Anyway, next thing we see is the Ultimates all lined up doing this slow walk across the White House lawn. In the movie where an explosion blows up and they don't look back, it's one of those. And Captain America is cradling the superhero they've rescued in an arm. He asks her name, and she says, America. It's the superhero America. Honestly, utter garbage. I think one of my 3 cats, right? Choose anyone that could have written a better story for this book. I'm not even kidding. It is on the shit pile until they changed the writing team. And it was another amazing opportunity to bring back, I think, a really good, interesting Marvel line, the Ultimates, where they can do stuff that's really cool and off the beaten track. But it was horrible.
This is the first book you've hated since last week.
Yes, and I hate it.
No, since 2 weeks ago,
worth.
actually.
It's terrible, mate. It really is terrible. Move on to another book, which I actually read this too. I read this too, but you're going to give the review.
I am going to give the review. So what can I say that hasn't been said about the X-Men? Want to protect the humans that hate and fear them, mutants. Their powers trigger at puberty. Professor Xavier, the school, Wolverine, Cyclops, Jean Grey, the X-Men. So anyway, we've got a new lineup this time. Sorry, I didn't credit the creators of this. So X-Men issue 1, published by Marvel, written by Jed MacKay again, art by Ryan Stegman and cover art by Ryan Stegman. And I must admit, when I saw this in the previews, I saw Ryan Stegman's art and I was like, I don't think I'm going to like this.
It's like a poor man's Humberto Ramos, isn't it? I think.
I love Humberto Ramos.
Yeah.
I loved Out There. I thought that was the pinnacle of his work. It was.
I did not like the art. I really tried to like the art. I didn't like the art.
We're not here to talk about Out There, unfortunately. I wish we were. Anyway, so the new lineup is X-Men mainstays Cyclops, Beast, and Psylocke, alongside Magic, who's the sister of Colossus and also the former Queen of Limbo. Kid Omega, who is Quentin Quire, a powerful sidekick from Grant Morrison's run on New X-Men. Temper, who was introduced by Matt Fraction in the early 2010 when I wasn't reading comics. She's got the power to heat and cool things. And finally, former villains turned allies, Juggernaut and Magneto. So there was a whole thing, Krakoa Age. Jonathan Hickman created it and left halfway through. I loved all the work he did on it. Basically, the X-Men had their own Eden, their own paradise, so they would never die. I mean, the old comic trope of comic characters never dying to the extreme there. They were always backed up. There was no fear of death or anything like that. They had deals with the government to be left alone as a sovereign nation, and they had wonder drugs that they would sell to the humans to keep them sweet. But anyway, they lost all that because of the X-Men, and they're back to square zero, in fact.
Or Square X even.
Or Square X, yeah. Post-Krakoa, this team of mutants, they've set up a base in an abandoned Alaskan Sentinel factory. And this story is split between Beast showing the local chief of police, Paula Robbins, the lead character from Fargo, around the facility, and this new team of X-Men out on a field mission. So in the field, we see the new team dynamics right away. Kid Omega is the bolshy, bratty upstart. He clashes and trades barbs with Cyclops, which is a nice refresh of the classic Logan Cyclops rivalry. Magic and Juggernaut have a sort of sibling rivalry, mutual respect thing going on, like Legolas and Gimli. Also, I thought it was cool they used the souped-up yacht and the Marauder from the Krakoa era comic of the same name instead of the usual Blackbird. I thought that was a nice touch. A new team member, Temper, proves her worth by freezing a ton of foes in their tracks in a cool action sequence. Back at the base, Beast shows the chief that hydroponic fruit and vegetables have been growing, and she laments the locals losing their livelihoods due to the manufacturing shutting down. Beast retorts, but this is where you people built the Sentinels. So, yeah, it's... that
was a nice touch. It was a Sentinel factory, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, it was a former Sentinel factory. So anyway, back to the mission, and we learned that the target the X-Men are here to rescue is, drum roll please, Wolverine!
What a surprise. What a surprise.
Who would have guessed that? Yeah, so he's in a bad way, hung up and badly wounded. I mean, it must be Tuesday for him. Logan sent out a psychic distress call that any sort of telepathy might have heard it. Quentin Quires picked it up, alerting the strike team. They're there to rescue 6 recently activated young mutants. They tracked to the location that Wolverine was captured investigating. The X-Men burst in and free Wolverine, discovering the recently activated mutant signatures Cerebro found are not kids at all, but 6 adults, which is weird, as the X gene always activates during puberty, or it has historically since Stan and Jack wrote the title. Beast tells the chief that the Sentinels built on the town with the Orcus ones that took Eden away from mutant kind. She sympathizes, and then Beast basically takes her more of a tour of the place, introducing her to Glob Herman from Grant Morrison's run, Zorn and Magneto. I thought Zorn and Magneto were the same thing. I must have missed something there. Quire scans the activated adults, confirming them as mutants and not grafts, because there was a nasty grafting thing going on during Krakoa in the Benjamin Percy's X-Men book. That was really cool. Juggernaut asks who activates as an adult. They answer, we do, X-Man. The game has changed. Cyclops said they don't need to fight, but he's ignored, and the two groups battle as the shadowy cabal watch on. They call themselves the 3K. The X-Men barely escape the powerful mutants. Wolverine refuses to join them, heading off alone, saying, after Krakoa, I just can't start again from the beginning anymore. And the issue ends with a shot of a huge frozen, incapacitated Sentinel, which Cyclops wants to leave up for a while so the town don't forget what they owe the mutants. I love X-Men. Look, I mean, I've got my credentials right here. I spent the last 2.5 years reading X-Men from the start of Claremont's run all the way up to Grant Morrison, just to fill in any gaps in my knowledge. So, believe me when I say, I know X-Men, I am Jimmy X, and I wanted more from this.
It wasn't good, was it, Jim?
Did.
The art was bad. The character designs as well, they look like 20 years younger, like teenagers. The characters.
Yeah, why does Cyclops look the same age as Quentin Quire?
And like Magneto is called Max for some reason. Now, we'll probably missed something in the Krakoa thing, maybe. It's all over the place. The dialogue, the team dynamics, the way they talk to each other, it's so dumbed down. And they look like they're teenagers again. And what's going on with Beast's black eyes? I know they pulled that from the past, all really clever. It's awful. And the thing is, it says a new beginning, but you have to have read quite a lot of the previous stuff to even grasp what they're on about in the book.
Coming into this week, there were 3 books that I was really excited about, and one of them I'm still really excited about.
Yeah, well, at least you've got one left, right? It was sad, wasn't it? It's a missed opportunity again. So much high hopes, and a lot of X fans that I follow on YouTube who love X-Men more than anything. Like Jem Mint, he loves X-Men. He just did a review too, and it was the same thoughts as us, and I was surprised. But yes, moving on. It's a sad day.
All is not lost though. We still got Gal Simone's Uncanny X-Men to come.
That's true. I'm looking forward to that. I'll definitely read that. And again, I'm not a huge X fan anyway, but I'll give it a go if she's behind the book.
Come on.
So on to the next one from Dark Horse, Kill All Immortals, #1, Zach Kaplan, and art by Fico Ossio. So I'm a bit 50-50 with this one, right? But the solicit promised Succession meets John Wick with Immortal Vikings, right? And Succession being probably one of the best TV shows in the last 20 years, right? I thought, all right, I like the sound of that. And who didn't like the first John Wick? And then chuck Vikings in, right? No brainer, give it a go. But there were some parts of the book I didn't like, particularly the character building around Freya, who's the main character, but we'll get to. Anyways, the book starts with a bunch of CEOs. They're at some fancy mansion, right? They've turned down a business deal with the Asvolds, who are an uber-rich Norwegian conglomerate business family, right? They're like, I don't know, Gordon Gekko on acid. While they're recounting all these little rumours and stories about other CEOs and companies that have refused deals from the Asvolds, and it didn't turn out very good for them. There was like family members dying, car crashes, plane crashes, stuff like that, So they're all getting nervous. And the main guy, he's like, oh, it's all rubbish, Until the 3 sons of Eric Asvold, who's the CEO of that company, burst through the front door with axes and swords and slaughter all of them bar one. And they say we're here for you to sign the deal. So I thought, all right, it's a bit of fun, a bit cheesy, but let's see where it goes. So we jump to Freya. Now, she's the daughter of Mr. Eric Asvold, right? And she stayed out of the family business, out of the limelight, where she's not trying to be one of the Kardashians. She's in the limelight, but she's very casual about it. She donates to charity. She does everything she can to be a good person in the world as such, right? She tries to stay out of all the family business. Anyway, she's out in Kenya with her boyfriend, who's a journalist, and the whole character building between the two of them, they keep drumming in this thing about her family are rich. Oh, tell me more about your family. And it's just really heavy, and it's like, okay, we get it. But anyway, he's her boyfriend, secret boyfriend, and also he's there to do an article on her for whatever newspaper that he works for, magazine. I can't remember. It was that not memorable. Anyway, so they're driving through the Kenyan outback, let's call it, and they're hijacked by armed men. Freya gets out of the car, and we don't see what happens, but what we see is a blood splatter on the windscreen, right? So obviously something's happened. They get back in the car. We've got to talk about it. Wow, how did you get their gun? How did you kill them all? That was really weird. What happened? Anyway, they get back, and she says, look, I'm in danger. I need to go back to my dad's house back in Norway, which is this beautiful mansion that it's like the mountains are behind it, and there's a beautiful lake. So she goes there. Her brothers greet her. Long story short, they're all at dinner with her dad, the three brothers, and the boyfriend. And the boyfriend, who's one of those very idealistic journalists, starts arguing with her dad, the big corporate guy. They have this little argument, and that breaks down. Before we know it, one of the brothers tries to kill her boyfriend, right? Because apparently he's not just doing an article on her, he's actually doing a big expose on the whole family. And because of that, you are now also a traitor. And they slit her throat. And he goes, oh my God, you killed her. And he runs off. And they catch up with him on the precipice of a cliff. And he turns round, and one of the brothers there, and he's about to chop his head off. And then Freya, who was supposed to be dead, kills him. Well, I'll get to that point. She puts the sword through his chest, seemingly killing him, and then kicks him off the edge of the cliff, and he tumbles. And he's like, oh my God, I thought you were dead. What's going on? What's going on? She's like, well, I'll tell you the truth. Actually, about 1,000 years ago, there was a Viking called, Eric the Red, I think he was called, right? That's my dad. And we're all children of him, and we're immortal. And we can't be killed. So there was a mixed bag. Intriguing, maybe worth a second issue, but it didn't really grab me. I didn't care about the characters, and I found it a bit cheesy. I don't know. I'm a bit disappointed because the cover looks amazing. Look at that cover, right? You can't argue. But it's all right. Maybe give it a go for number 2, but maybe not. No, I didn't really have high hopes for it after that last page. But anyway, talking about high hopes, Absolute Power, right? This is one of your big ones, right?
Yeah. Well, this is Task Force 7. An Absolute
tie-in, yeah?
Series. It's a tie-in series, yeah. From what I can see, each issue is written by a different set of creators as well. So, Absolute Power Task Force 7 issue 1, published by DC. It's written by Leah Williams, who's Alan Moore's daughter, and wife of Rob Williams, who did Class War, which is a great book. With art by Caitlin Yarsky and cover up by Pete Woods. I'm not familiar with those creators, unfortunately.
Nice cover.
No, yeah, the cover's really nice. So Amanda Waller and the other 2 members of a Trinity of Evil, Batman's evil robot, Failsafe, and the super powerful Queen, they've launched an assault on the DC superhero metahumans, depowering many of them. This issue starts with Walker assigning Suicide Squad member Parasite. So you can sort of picture him as a purple golem-esque creature. And the Amazo robot and Task Force 7 member Last Son to hunt down the partially depowered captain. They don't call him Captain Marvel anymore, I've noticed, just the captain. And Mary Marvel, who needing to recharge their powers, they're in hiding. And the Shazam power source, the Rock of Eternity, following the events of Wonder Woman issue 11. Now, I have an issue with this because Wonder Woman issue 11 comes out next week. It comes out next week.
So does this spoil what happens in that book?
So there are spoilers in this book for what happens in Wonder Woman 11. I'm not going to talk about them because that would be harsh because it's not out yet. So anyway, I'm just going to kind of gloss over that and try and move on. A little bit disappointed. Okay. Oh, and also Superman. There are references to next week's issue of Superman that isn't out yet as well. So well done, DC. Great work there. Anyway, they're sneaking around trying to find some weapons to fight back and not alert the T-Rex accountant. He's like a mini T-Rex accountant, Mr. Dinosaur, who's just finished tidying the Hall of Souvenirs. I gotta love DC Comics and their cheesiness because he'll make them fill out paperwork for anything they damage. Then Last Son, that's the name of this Amazo robot, and we learned that he was the one that depowered the Super Family in issue 1 of Absolute Power as well. He arrives and blasts him with his eye beams mercilessly, and then blasts Parasite, his guide, the one who got him into the Rock of Eternity. So there's gratitude. all the Marvel family look on in horror. But luckily, they're saved by Black Adam, with all of his powers intact, as he's been at the Rock of Eternity protecting it. He manages to fight the last son and avoid him for a good long while before finally getting grabbed. And he succumbs to its grasp, losing his own powers, and basically all three of the powerless kids are taken back to Waller's secret prison on the nation of Gamora. And it's revealed at the end that Waller's second-in-command, Sergeant Steele, has recruited Wonder Woman's boyfriend and all-round military good guy Steve Trevor to work for him. And Steve Trevor's not too happy about that as the issue ends.
You sound disappointed, mate.
It really took the wind out of my sails, man. Publishing this in the wrong order, meaning I've got to reread it after reading Wonder Woman issue 11 and Superman next week. That's a big no for me. I mean, we had it with Marvel and Bloodhunt with the Black Panther thing, but that wasn't hinging on this. Like,
no,
if you've got a story, tell it in the right order.
But what about the book itself? Was the book itself any good?
I enjoyed it. I thought Liam Williams was a good writer. I mean, like a dad, and the art was okay.
Oh boy, Jimmy, this is the first week you've not been loving everything. This is a first.
I'll come to the dark side, Angelo. What can I say?
Oh man, well done, well done. It's all right. So, what do we got here? More Gatchaman, and I'm going to say it every single time it comes. Gatchaman is my favourite thing in the whole entire world. And when Mad Cave announced comics, I was like, okay, ooh, Gatchaman. So obviously, I'm going to be mega looking forward to this because did I say that it's my favourite thing in the whole world? It has been 40 years. No, I probably haven't said that more than 1,000 times. So anyway, Galactor number 1. I was really excited by the fact that this is a villain-centric mini-series, right? Because you always get the heroes, but we all love villains. Who doesn't love Darth Vader, right? Who doesn't want to find out more about Darth Vader? And basically, Galactor is the Darth Vader of the Gatchaman universe. So, written by Steve Orlando with art by Catherine Lobo. This issue starts off kind of in parallel to the end of issue 1 of Gatchaman. So, the events of Gatchaman have happened, and this tails off perfectly into this. So Burke Katz is his name, his real name, and he's the commander of the Galactor forces. He's being disciplined by Leader X, who is the omnipotent ruler of Galactor. He's the big, big bad. He appears as this, he's like Sauron's eye, but turned around. And this issue sort of goes through and deals with how Galactor gained a foothold on Earth by infiltrating the Lupo Mafia crime family, promising them everything, but then murdering lots of them and taking over and rising, into infamy by doing that. So he reflects also on how the troops have been spun a narrative that, you're here to save the planet. You're here to save the humans from themselves, but really it's all about conquering. It's all about conquering more planets, getting more resources, becoming more and more powerful. So anyway, he also finds out that not everybody loves him and there's a failed poisoning attempt with his dinner, right? So he says, right, I'm going to don a disguise of one of the troopers, one of the foot soldier goons, and I'm going to go around the base and see what I can find out. So he kind of finds out that not everybody loves him, obviously, because someone tried to kill him. But they're all a bit, it's like some people love him, wish that he had died. Some people think it's terrible. So it's really interesting that you're finding out that he's one of those leaders that leads through fear, essentially. That's why people listen to him and do what they're told, because they basically fear him. So he's constantly aware that, at any point in time, anyone could be trying to assassinate him. So anyway, he goes to the kitchen, obviously, because that's where the food is prepared. He speaks to the chef. The chef says nothing leaves the kitchen without him checking it. There's a conversation, and Burke realizes that the chef is innocent. So learning nothing, he decides to go around the rest of the base dressed as one of the foot soldier goons. And it is a bit cheesy, but like, remember, this is a 70s cartoon, and one of Burke Katz's little character things was he was a master of disguise. So he would regularly, pull the mask off type of thing, And again, I'm judging this based on what they're aiming to achieve with this book, not what I wanted with the book. I'll get to that. So anyway, he realizes that it hasn't come from inside the base. It must be come from one of the ingredients. So that anyway, we jump to the Captain Procurer, who's a captain assigned to acquiring supplies from Earth people who were on Galactor's side, right? So he visits Filiku, who's a saffron farmer, because Berg doesn't eat anything without saffron on it. You know what I mean? So he's chatting to this guy, and long story short, it's him. He's the one responsible, right? Because he catches him out by saying something, see what his answer would be, that old trick, you know? And because Berg is a super genius, it's another one of his character traits throughout the cartoons, that he is a super genius, master of disguise. Anyway, so this guy actually turns out to not be a farmer. He was actually one of the members of the Lupo mafia crime family, and it's been planning this I don't know how many years revenge plot, which is I'm going to assume the identity of this farmer. I'm going to make ties with Galactor. I'm going to win their favor and their trust by selling them produce that I can eventually poison Berg for what he did to his family, the crime family, and him. So it wasn't bad. The art was lovely. A little less adult than what I liked, but it was an enjoyable peek into the villain's mind. If you approach this with the mindset that they're trying to give you a comic in 2024, if it was the 1970s. And I'm really, and I love Mad Cave, and I don't want to upset anyone there, but I'm always honest. And gatchaman is my favorite thing. I really wish they'd done something different. I wish they'd gone a little bit more adult with this book to balance out the sort of 70s style other books and everything else. So if you love Battle of the Planets, you're going to read it and you're going to get that little nostalgia kick, but it could have been a bit more adult. But the art was lovely. Moving on to a book that you probably want to talk about forever. One of your all-time favourites so far in all our shows so far. So, Transformers number 10. Is it keeping up the pace?
Yeah. Transformers issue 10, published by Image Skybound, written by Daniel Warren Johnson, with a cover by Daniel Warren Johnson, with art by Jorge Corona. Human ally Spike was kidnapped from hospital by the Decepticon Astro Train. Soundwave used the Space Bridge portal to bring Shockwave to Earth from Cybertron. Once there, he turned into a powerful gun wielded by Soundwave and shot and killed Autobot medic Ratchet. I know these wounds are still fresh for you. Who sacrificed himself to save fellow Autobot Cliffjumper. The female Autobot survivor Elita 1 also escaped Cybertron via the portal with the mutilated, barely alive body of Ultra Magnus, who's been a victim of Shockwave's decades of torture on Cybertron. She saves the Autobot leader Optimus Prime from Shockwave, and the three escape, although in the process of this, they're cut off from Cliffjumper and Jazz, and they're now prisoners of the Decepticons. So anyway, also, Astro Train, at the end of the issue, crashes on a desert island, and Spike is rescued by a new Autobot, Beachcomber. So the issue starts, and we flash back to the Decepticons attacking the Autobots en route to Earth, right at the start. We see Thundercracker hurl Beachcomber out of the spacecraft, saying, "Enjoy traveling the stars." Luckily, he lands on the moon, and he lives there in solitude for decades, millennia.
Is he the one that they see in Void Rivals?
No.
Oh,
but I'll mention that in a minute.
Cool.
So anyway, he lives there in solitude for decades until the Apollo 11 mission lands on the moon, cluing the Autobot into existing life on Earth. So he hitches a ride on Apollo 11 back to Earth for the mission. And once there, he finds a Cybertronian ship crash into a volcano with all the Transformers still inactive after the crash. He decides to let them sleep there so there can be peace forever and their endless war will no longer endanger a beautiful planet. While he decides to go off and live in harmony with the various wildlife around him, he tells Spike he rescued him as he's from this world too, and he deserves saving as much as any of the other beautiful creatures on this planet. And then, of course, obviously, Jetfire flies in, reactivates the Autobots, and all goes to hell.
and
the Decepticons. Yeah. Spike warns Beachcomber that the Decepticons plan on harvesting the world of its resources, but Beachcomber says, I'd rather stay out of it. Even though he's chained Astro Train to the ground to escape, he still offers him his energon from his personal reserves, saying he's a pacifist and he wants no part in any war. Meanwhile, Shockwave is surprisingly marvelling at the majestic organic life too, i.e. a pod of humpback whales. Soundwave concurs, saying this planet has so many organic wonders. There's something new to see every day. And then Shockwave activates a nasty-looking device that the Constructicons have built called the Feeder, which sucks the whole pod of whales into it, converting them into energy.
Oh, mate. Sorry, Greenpeace.
Back at the dam, Wheeljack has got his own less nasty device that's converting hydroelectricity into energon. When Elita, Prime, and Magnus return to him and RC, they're shocked at the appearance of their old friend, and Wheeljack's saying, "Don't worry, I'm sure Ratchet can fix you up," prompting Prime to have to break the sad news of Ratchet's death to Wheeljack, devastating Ratchet's friend.
Very sad.
Meanwhile, Jazz and Cliffjumper begin their unseen torture at the hands of Shockwave. And Elita tells Prime the same fate that befell Magnus is the future of the captured Autobots. Optimus vows to rescue his men as the Feeder device uses its energon to widen the portal, bringing Cybertron straight to Earth. Beachcomber is stunned and Shockwave cackles, "Let the harvest begin."
Oh, so Cybertron's now near Earth.
Cybertron is literally in Earth's orbit. It is fantastic. And Jorge Corona deserves all the awards for what he did.
Even
in
though
this
you
issue.
spoiled it for me, it's made me more excited for it, actually. So,
it was brilliant. So the synopsis for this said Shockwave's plan finally revealed. They weren't kidding. He's going to convert all life on Earth into energon to save Cybertron. Yeah, there are 2 issues left in this arc. I hope to goodness that Daniel Warren Johnson sees sense and stays on the book for another 6 or 12 issues, because I can't get enough of this. This is just too good.
It does look good. I'm looking forward to catching up on it, actually. I've got the last 2 issues to read. So there's that smile back on Jimmy's face. Talking about smiles.
I needed it.
You did. Talking about smiles. So Dawnrunner 4, Dark Horse. Ram V, writing the book, and art by Evan Cagle. Okay, before we start, I'm going to repeat what I said last issue about this book. It is one of the best books of the decade. Everything about it is exceptional. Covers, art, story, colouring, lettering. It's one of the best books, and I look forward to it more than anything every month. So super quick recap, right? So is giant mechs fight giant alien monsters called Tetza, who were brought to Earth via a portal. Giant wall has been built around the area where the portal is to keep these giant monsters away from the rest of the world. The giant mechs are powered by humans who go out to fight these huge monsters, and it's televised across the Earth like a big celebrity show. The pilots are celebrities, endorsed, sponsored, and all the corporations behind it, broadcasting show and making the mechs, make a ton of money. Now, there's a new type of mech, which the hero is piloting. That's Anita, that's her name. And her mech is called the Dawnrunner, which is powered by the brain of a dead soldier, Icaro, who died like 100 years ago when all of this first began, when these monsters first appeared. Now, she merges with him, and they have like a symbiotic relationship with the machine. But when they merge, she seems to be able to spectate his memories, particularly memories of him trying to save his children after the Tetza first invaded, and trying to get them to safety. However, all is not as it seems about his memories, which is alluded to at the last issue. Also, to top it off, Anita's young daughter is also dying from an incurable virus, which was brought to Earth by the Tetza. Boom. That's the short synopsis. So last issue, the most humongous giant monster was coming through the portal, right? And it was filling the sky. And we jumped to 42 hours later. Everyone's in panic. The monster has been named the Prime. It's caused incredible devastation. So the company that makes the mechs and broadcasts the TV show across the world, they've sent out mechs. Everything's getting destroyed. And they're scrambling to try and figure out how the hell do we defeat it, because it's just totally new. The biology's new. The way it moves, the way it talks. It's just like, I don't know. It's not like the others. What the hell are we to do? So Anita is out there, not doing well against this giant bloody monster, this new Prime. So they panic and they cut the feeds. And as they do that, basically Anita goes down. She is down and her mech is down. And while that's happening, she kind of materializes like in a ghostly form into this weird mind meld that she has with Icaro, the pilot. Where before I think she was spectating, but now she's sort of there and she can walk along with him and talk to him in person. He's got his children. They're trying to get to safety. So while that's happening, this monster is getting closer and closer to this giant wall that separates this arena from the rest of the world, and they're panicking because like we need to do something. So they send a team out to try and rescue Anita, and they get there and they're tearing the mech apart, and they're trying to get to her. And as they're doing that, we're sort of going in and out of this dream, weird symbiotic mind meld that's going on Anita, and they basically get to this place where it's supposed to be safe, and she has to say, look, I had to come clean. Before I got in the suit to come out and fight, I was told that your children never made it. Your children died. Your family died. These aren't your memories, right? And he's just like, oh my God, why is this happening? What is happening? Like we need to do something about this. This monster is not going to beat us. I've lost my children. This monster, and they like super meld, and you sort of see these two entities inside the sort of memory merge, and as they merge, the mech starts to rumble, and they get to the cockpit or where Anita's supposed to be, but she's not there. But the mech is now moving. It's now walking back up to go and fight the monster. It's amazing. Like where's she gone?
Sounds it.
It's just like, it is so good. The art, my friend, honestly, is it's just beautiful. Every panel is bliss, and it moves really fast and fast and fast. It doesn't skip a beat. It's flawless. It is my book of the week, and if they continue to do this, it will be my book of the week every single month that it comes out. I recommend it to everyone. Look at that cover. It's just amazing. Like, where has she gone? Where's she gone? Has she gone into his weird brain? Have they merged with the suit? It's just so cool. I mean,
it gives
you're missing out if you're not reading it.
It gives me big Neon Genesis Evangelion vibes.
It's exactly, it is Neon Genesis Evangelion, like I mentioned the first issue.
Oh, cool.
But better. I know that's a big thing to say, considering it is one of the most monumental animes and mangas to ever grace the planet. But for me, this just has a little extra twist to it, and it's that extra twist that just makes it exceptional. Please, everybody read it. Everybody read it. So your book of the week, Jim? Oh, do we know what that one is? I wonder.
It's Transformers.
It's got to be Transformers. So what are you looking forward to next?
Basically, if you want to have a book of the week the same week Transformers is published, you just got to do better than Jorge Corona and Daniel Warren Johnson. That's all I'm asking. Just try and do better.
Read Dawnrunner.
Prove me wrong.
Read Dawnrunner. I will.
Okay.
Read Dawnrunner. There's only 4 issues out. Just smash them in one sitting, and I guarantee it'll be one of your new favourite books of all time.
I'll check it out.
Okay, good. So next week, what are you looking forward to next week?
I'm looking forward to seeing Jean Grey take to the stars as Phoenix issue 1 goes cosmic.
Do you know what? I've noticed there is a massive slew of new X books coming, isn't there?
Yeah.
I'm going to jump on a few of them.
They're flooding the market again. And also Destro issue 2. He's going to war.
I thought so. Energon Universe. I'm looking forward to a book I think was delayed, which was Mugshots. And the first one was my book of the week. Back when we reviewed it. Yeah, number 2's coming. And Nightwing, which has been consistently good. So those are my 2 books to look for this week. Anyway, thank you for watching. I'm pretty certain there's going to be loads of audio issues coming from Jim's audio, but please stick with us. We'll figure out what it is and we'll fix it next week. Yeah, I know. So like, subscribe, share, tell everybody we're here, and we'll see you next week. See you later, guys. Say goodbye, Jim.
Roll out.
Roll out. Bye-bye.